I'm Eve Salazar, and we are working on tutorial 3 today. So today's tutorial is going to be all about the roll-up. So the roll-up, if you've taken Pilates classes before, is that classical mat work piece, and I'll demonstrate it right now so you know what I'm talking about. So it's where we contract over the legs, we're maintaining a lifted abdomen, and we slowly roll back, maintaining a curvature or a contraction in the spine. Roll all the way down, lift the arms, flex the feet. Flexing the feet does really help here. Lifting the head and chest up to refine that contraction, and then peel up and over the legs in one smooth motion. Okay, so that's rolling up. And it's really about being able to create a contraction or an evenly curved spine, okay, with the neck really being lengthened. And so hopefully you can see, I'll turn a little more to the side, my head to my tail, I've got a nice smooth curve to my back. And I'm trying to really pull my belly button, it feels like a belly ball today, pull my belly button up and create space between my stomach and my thighs. What I see a lot, especially in really mobile people, is they're kind of plastered to their legs and then their head's looking up. So in the last video, we went over head and neck position, so you know that chin sticking out thing, super bad for the neck because it causes that shearing. No bueno. Do not stick your chin up in your roll up. No chins up in the roll up. Ah, big no-no. Okay, so chin in, neck long, reach over the legs. And you may be going, that's all well and good, Eve, but I cannot do the bloody roll-up. Okay, so if it's a strength issue, if it's an abdominal strength issue, and you'll know that that's the issue because you've been working on it in your private lessons, then there's a few things I'm going to show you that will help you kind of get over that hump. Now, there's a few reasons why the roll-up may not be for you, in which case, skip it. Do something else in class. You could do, laying on your back flat, just focusing on your little chest lifts to create more strength in your upper abdominals. You could focus on just doing some toe taps while everyone else is rolling up. Okay, but there might be very specific reasons why the roll-up isn't for you. And those reasons might be, 1, you're pregnant. Some pregnant bodies are fine with the roll-up. Some pregnant bodies are not fine with the roll-up, especially pregnant bodies in the 3rd trimester. Okay, because if you've got a big pregnant body, when I was pregnant, every cell in my body was pregnant. I was enormous. I put on almost 50 pounds, okay? I was not one of those happy pregnant bodies. It was like everything was this big. So, and I also developed rectus diastasis, which is the pulling apart of the abdominal rectus muscle. The rectus abdominis muscle is a long, skinny sheath muscle, goes from your pubic bone up here to your sternum, your xiphoid process. It's that muscle that you can see on someone when they've got like 2% body fat, otherwise you don't see it, and it's fine. It's really not a big deal muscle, okay? But if it pulls apart, it becomes a big deal muscle because you have to learn how to reconnect that. And if you're pregnant, you really don't want to be doing roll-ups because that puts more pressure on the rectus abdominis, and you could develop a rectus diastasis or a split, okay? Same thing for men who have bigger bellies, okay? Especially the big hard belly. Roll-up is not your piece because you could create a split in your abdominal wall by creating force on that. It's not your piece. Another reason the roll-up may not be for you, you have a rod in your spine because maybe you had scoliosis as a child and they had to take your spine and put a rod to stabilize that so the scoliosis wouldn't develop into something that would cripple you or create a lot of chronic problems later in life. So if you have a rod in your spine, guess what? That rod is not bending. You're not bending. That's not your piece. And that's okay. Not every single piece in the Pilates repertoire is for us. There's some pieces I elect not to do. Even though I'm a teacher of this work, I know that those pieces are either going to lead to pain or they're going to exploit areas of my body that I don't need to have exploited. So it may not be your piece, in which case, move on to the next tutorial, okay? Or if you'd like to stay and watch some of the modifications, you may have a rod in a portion of your spine that still allows you to sit up out of bed, in which case you could still conceivably work some of those pieces. I'm not with you one-on-one right now. So that would be a great question to ask in a one-on-one session if you're not sure, okay? Always remembering that you are the boss of your body, and if you don't think a piece is for you, maybe don't do it. Okay, moving on. So the quadrants of the core. So the roll-up really deals with strength and the ability to articulate the spine. So you have to have the ability to articulate the spine, and it needs to be a safe choice for you. And you need to have strength in your core, and that really works strength of the core. And also, the other reason a roll-up might be really tricky for you is if you have a really long trunk and really short legs, that proportion makes the roll-up really, really hard. And I see that more in men than women because men carry more of their weight up top. Women tend to carry our weight down in our thighs and in our butts. And so it makes the roll-up easier for us. Men sometimes have a harder time with the roll-up because more of their weight is up here. And to lift that part of their body and keep their legs down can be a real challenge. So for some men, it's just not their piece because of the way that they're made. And that can be true for women too. So if you've got shorter legs and a bigger, longer torso, this may be a challenging piece for you, in which case these modifications could be very helpful. So we want to also talk about the neck posture, like we did in the last video. Just making sure I'm not forgetting anything. Oh, and finally, we'll talk about rolling up and using the OOV and why the OOV is an excellent tool to facilitate the roll up, especially if you have neck issues or low back issues. So make sure to hang out till the end of this video because the most important stuff is going to come at the end with the OOV. Alrighty? So, couple of modifications. I'm going to go through these pretty fast. If you have trouble with your legs flying up when you're doing the roll up, you need more stability in your hips and you need to use your legs more. So, I would recommend you try this trick with the band. Put the band on the outside of your feet and push into that band with your legs as you roll back. So you're going to roll back and press with your legs. You're pushing your legs out and wide. And so as you come up, it helps to create a little opposition in terms of width, okay? And that can help stabilize. So that's one trick, all right? Especially if we're using the band in class, that's an easy, just stick it on your legs. So that's one. Another one is to roll up using a towel. So I'm sitting on a towel. I'm going to lay back on and my towel's folded in half. So I've made it a little skinny. I'm going to reach up and I'm going to grasp the corners of this mat. And I've made the towel. I've made the towel about as wide as my body. And again, flex your feet. When you flex the feet, it really helps to press down and lengthen the back line of the legs. I'm going to lengthen my neck and look forward toward my toes as I come up. My elbows are actually going forward, and that will help me to get my shoulders down. So don't force your elbows out here. It's going to jam your shoulders into your ears. Let your elbows come forward, and then think of pulling your shoulders down via your lats and your obliques, okay? So we've got that position, and the feet and the elbows are kind of mirroring each other in that way. I'm going to inhale and exhale, just find my chest lift and try to keep my neck long, but without jamming my chin forward. And you feel this have to do the work right here, boom. And then I'm going to find a little more of my shoulders drawing down my ears, and I'm going to come forward and round forward over my legs. Lengthen the neck, keep the neck long, and roll back slowly. You're going to have less support on the way down, so you've got to really push your legs down. I'll do that one more time. So use a towel, peel up. The towel supports you as you come up and over. And then you can sit back up. Okay, so that's a little assist. The towel just gives you assist through the hardest part of the roll-up. If you want to make that a little harder, or you don't have a towel but you do have a TheraBand, you could do the same thing with the TheraBand. You lay it down, put it in line with your spine, hold on to that TheraBand, and it'll help pull you forward, okay? It also just helps you feel the length of your spine in a very supported way. So that's a modification. That helps to make the roll-up easier. This is not really a modification, but it's not really a progression either. It's somewhere in between. It kind of helps you hit those points of the abs that need to strengthen. So let's say you can do the roll-up, but there's a little bit of a in your roll-up, or you've got that spot, right? That spot. We all know that spot. So if you can do the roll-up and you're contracting back, it's usually when we get to about here, sometimes that will happen, right? Or on our way up, we get to here and then it's like, that spot. And that's where the upper and the lower abdominals meet. Okay, so again, upper lower hemisphere integration, hemina. That's hard to say when you've done 3 roll-ups apparently. So I'm gonna roll back, and then I'm gonna put an elbow down and put another elbow down. Okay, I'm staying contracted in my lower hemisphere. It means my pubic bone is looking at my eyeball, or my third eyeball. Okay, hold yourself here. Now reach your arms forward. Elbows down. Reach your arms forward. Elbows down. Reach your arms forward. Woo! You gonna feel that. Push your legs down. Reach your arms forward. Good. Try to keep your neck long. Look over your toes. Maybe you can do 1 and switch and switch. And that can take you into a little obliques. Obliques. How many times she gonna say obliques? A lot. And 2 and 1 and reach and all the way down. You will feel that. If you don't feel that, I don't know what to tell you to do. Okay, one last thing. Yes, and this is another good one if you're having issues with the legs flying up. So if you're rolling up and your legs are coming up, try putting your legs in a long diamond and squeezing your feet together. So you're in an external rotation and it gets your hip flexors out of the equation, okay? And that's what we would call a diamond roll up. So you roll back and the arms come up and you lay the spine down. Arms come up, lift the head and the chest and contract over your legs. So that's another one. And for some people it's easier, for some people it's harder. It really depends on the body and the way that that body is shaped. So that's another progression or modification. The last thing I want to talk about is, so those were band around the feet, towel or TheraBand under your spine, diamond legs, and then elbows down, elbows up, elbows down, elbows up. So 4 things so far. Lastly, the OOV. So if you've worked on the OOV or you've worked with me on the OOV, you know how much I use this tool. This tool has completely revolutionized the way that I teach Pilates, the way that I deal with the spine, and it is the single best tool on the market for fitness, for rehab, for whatever. If you have a foam roller, stop using your foam roller. It's extremely barbaric. There are certain exercises I will still do with a foam roller, but I don't lay on it anymore. It's really not friendly for the spine. This, if you look at the way that it's curved, pelvis, laying on your back, upper back, it's really meant, or you can sit in the saddle. There's so many ways that we use the OOV. We stand on it, we sit on it, we kneel on it, we twist on it, so many ways. And it really teaches the body to stabilize in a 3-dimensional way while offering the spine total support. So I'm gonna lay on it so you can see how someone would do that. I'm just gonna get comfortable. My head is on the floor. Okay, so if you can see where the OOV, it contours my neck. All right. And it feels so good. When you lay on it, it's just the best feeling ever. It's like, oh yes, I've been waiting my whole life to have my spine feel like that. So here's the beauty of the roll up on the OOV. Taking the arms overhead, and I'm gonna do it with my knees bent first. Bring the arms up, roll up. The OOV helps you through that roll up. It kind of comes up with you, it guides you. And as you go back, ton of work going back because you're actually going below your pelvis. You're getting a little decompression there for the spinal nerves and vertebra and discs and all that. My head is slightly below my pelvis, unlike on the mat where they're really level. So this decreases the effects of gravity on your discs, which is lovely. It feels so good because suddenly gravity is off your back, literally. It's on your chest, but it's off your back. Okay, so reach those arms over your head. Lift those arms up. You peel up. And what's nice here is if you have osteoporosis, this can really help you because you're not flexing nearly as much. You're actually staying quite a bit straighter because as you can see, my pelvis actually drops down a little bit. I'm still using my abs a lot and I'm not sitting on the mat, so I'm balancing. I'm having to balance here on my pelvis. And you can always keep your spine a little straighter if you have osteo, right? So you can keep your spine totally straight, come back, and come forward, and that's even more ab work. My abs are shaken. So if you're an osteo person and you need to stay fairly straight, boom, you can still do that and come up totally supported. Now, here's another way you can do the roll up. You can sit on the neck of the oov. And now, this is like sitting in a saddle, so this is so great for my equestrians. This is one of the biggest tools I use with them. And I'm having to balance on my pelvis, roll back, and I can experience extension, roll up, and still get that spinal articulation. Roll back, going from your contraction into extension, supported extension at that. Arms come forward, head and chest follow, long neck through that roll up and over the legs, boom. And I'm getting a little extra balance work side to side as well on top of that. So I often will teach roll-ups using the oov and really show people how to use the oov and do those roll-ups. So if you're doing class with me and you have an oov, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna do the roll-up, grab your oov, dash it under your tush, and you can either do it with your butt at the big end, or you can sit in the saddle and get a little extension in your roll-up, which is really lovely. And I can tell you, doing the abdominal work on the oov, because of how much it supports your spine and creates space, you don't feel as compressed after traditional mat work when you've incorporated the oov into your repertoire. So if you don't have an oov and you're really curious about that and you're interested, please contact me, because I would love to get you connected with an oov and have you start to learn how to do that. This is one of the best ways to do Pilates at home on your own. You don't need a lot of big fancy equipment, you just need this. This guy's the best right here, because you can stand on it, you can kneel on it, you can sit on it, you can lay on it, and it really teaches you how to work your abdominals segmentally while putting it all together at one piece, because you're having to stabilize at the same time. Okay, so there's my little spiel on the roll up. So try those things. You can pick one to play with when we do roll up in class. You will see the roll up from time to time cycle through class. I don't do it in every class, and if it's not your piece, it's not your piece. Pick something else that you know you can do confidently, and then rejoin the class when we've moved on past that piece. Okay, so it's really, one thing I love about group classes is it teaches us to take ownership of our practice, and that's when we start to take this work and integrate it into our lifestyle, and that's the whole point. If you are not integrating this work into your daily life, then you're not living it, and it's not breathing in you, and it's not becoming a part of who you are, and it's not affecting you from a postural level. In order for this work to really affect you from a postural standpoint, you have to integrate it. And so one of the things that I like to do the most with people is develop some things that they can do at home on their own, so that this work is for you on your own as much as it is, if not more, when you're in the studio, when you're taking a class. I hope these things have been helpful. If you have any questions, or there's anything in particular, I have several more tutorials yet to film, and I have a loose plan for what I want to go through, but if you have a specific request or piece of movement that's really challenging for you, please leave me a comment under this video, and I will address that in a future tutorial. Thanks so much, and I'll see you in the next one.